Hey, it's Sam. I'm making this video today about something that's incredibly important in our world. I've put off making this video and talking about this for a while because I don't like astrology to be a kind of alarmist, scary, predictive type of thing. But I really feel the need to talk about this now because these astrological events, the upcoming eclipses, are dictating that I talk about this now. What I'm speaking about is the Fukushima nuclear power plant crisis that began with the tsunami in March 2011 and now has us at a point where we need to remove 400 tons of highly irradiated spent fuel from a damaged reactor building. Now this is a dangerous operation that has never even been attempted on this scale before. 400 tons of spent fuel. Imagine 400 tons from a damaged building that's crumbling and falling. This is scheduled for sometime in November. To date, there have been 3 full meltdowns from 3 of the reactors at that facility. Full-on breaches of the containment of the nuclear reactor casing and the building and the cement underneath. These nuclear reactor cores have melted down through the building, and who knows where they are right now. Now this is unprecedented, just on that level. One core meltdown that is uncontained is incredibly dangerous. If you remember afterwards, everyone was saying that there's not been a meltdown, there's not been a meltdown, there's not been a meltdown. Because that's like, oh my God, there's been 3 meltdowns. We don't hear anything about it. A meltdown is all this nuclear material and radiation just seeping into the ground, into the soil. I'm not even talking about that part of the situation. That we don't know what is happening with that, where those cores are. Tons of nuclear material in blobs under this facility somewhere, if not a mile in the earth by now. Who knows where this material has landed or stopped or what it's doing right now. We don't know, but our Mother Earth is holding 3 corium radiation blobs. That's aside from what I'm talking about now. So astrologically, we're seeing these factors line up. Radiation is related to Rahu. More than anything else, it's related to the North Node. We're seeing this intense pressure with Rahu joins Saturn on an eclipse, which brings in the Sun and the Moon, and also Mercury retrograde is there. So the eclipse of November the 3rd, November the 3rd, the solar eclipse in Libra, is a deep point of reckoning of this crisis. They're scheduled to move this material sometime in November. Right before that, there's going to be a sort of a dangerous or a culmination of a transit that's important in Western astrology with the squaring of Uranus and Pluto. That aspect perfects on October 31st, I believe it is. And at the same time, Mars is going to aspect the Western planet Uranus, which has to do with sudden unexpected shifts and changes. Outer planets, I have found them to be unreliable in making tangible predictions about what happened in the world. They're invisible forces. So my feeling and my hope is that this aspect of Mars, it's an 8th house aspect from Mars onto Uranus, and the Uranus-Pluto aspect perfecting right before, I'm hoping this is going to signal a similar kind of reversal and shift that, for instance, like the Cardinal Cross did a few years ago with the Gulf crisis, and hopefully it will signal some stability in this situation. Uranus is known to be a planet in Western astrology to bring unexpected ingenuity and things like that. The North Node also has that potential. And Saturn is at its deepest exaltation degree at this time. Saturn is right almost exactly at 20 degrees. It's like 19 degrees. Saturn is at its highest exaltation. Saturn preserves structure. We have to understand this situation is incredibly dangerous. We're in uncharted territory for humanity, and the stakes are high. We already have no idea what the implications are of having these three core breaches. We just don't know. We do know that they have to move these spent fuel rods, 400 tons, or else, and they have to do it with absolute precision, absolute perfection, or else 14,000 times the amount of the Hiroshima atomic bomb will be released, 14,000 times the radiation. That could make the northern hemisphere uninhabitable, or west coast of California, much of, we just don't really know. We don't know how bad it could be, but this is a huge moment for humanity. Hopefully it's a time where humanity can become united. Maybe something will happen where there's a crisis and we can come together around it and execute this work with precision. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to happen around that time. I'm not saying that you're going to see a crisis happen around the eclipse or anything like that, but we are already seeing this issue become more in focus. It's already becoming more of a mainstream issue. It's going to become even more of that. And hopefully this eclipse can be a time to shift consciousness, global consciousness, to put attention on this thing and stop making it out like it's up to, TEPCO, Tokyo Electric, or the Japanese government, or some kind of those Japanese, they have a lot of pride. They don't want to seem embarrassed. This is beyond that. This is the survival of humanity. It already has been with the three meltdowns. Tons of nuclear material in blobs in the earth somewhere. So I'm talking about this because the astrology is already pointing to it, and it can be a galvanizing moment for humanity to really start bringing awareness to this issue, and we should all do that. We need to bring awareness to this issue now because it is working to a point of climax, and the astrology is also showing it. And I think it shows an opportunity to think outside the box and find some ingenious way to do it, because that's what we're going to need to do. And this is the promise of eclipses, but it also can be the detriment if we don't act as a culture. And again, this is in Libra, of course, in sidereal zodiac, sidereal Libra, where we're being challenged to come together to solve humanity's problems. And now the stakes are pretty high, because if we don't, we might not have humanity and any problems. It could be that drastic and that serious. Just to say this as well, the first time we had the tsunami in March 11, 2011, there was an 8th house aspect from Mars onto Saturn. Saturn was aspecting Mars in its 8th house exact. That's when we had the tsunami and the explosions. After Mars separated from the aspect, the explosions stopped. And now Mars is setting up in that same 8th house aspect, but it's to Uranus. Like I said, I don't have a lot of faith in I don't have a lot of confidence in the outer planets to show tangible results. I think they have an impact for sure. I don't use them in my practice, but I think they are legitimate forces, but they're more forces of consciousness. They're more forces of, hidden things that interact with the tangible planets, or the planets of form, and then they influence results that way. So those evolutionary forces interacting, Uranus, which is the force of ingenuity, and Pluto, which is literally also about radiation and nuclear power. Plutonium, nuclear energy, was discovered right around the time that Pluto was also discovered. It's a symbol of nuclear energy. So this Uranus-Pluto square literally from the Western system is being shown. But again, to produce results, to show the event and the consciousness, and to have this coming into the consciousness is one thing. And that's what I think this Uranus-Pluto square now is showing from a Western astrological point of view, is it's bringing this issue into our consciousness now. We can't just pretend it didn't happen. By the way, there was a separating Pluto-Uranus aspect when the tsunami hit. So it's been happening the whole time. And now Mars is going to be a trigger, an 8th house aspect trigger, to hopefully bring about some ingenuity into solving this crisis. But this eclipse, the sun is debilitated. Sun is like governments and power. It's debilitated. It's with Rahu. It's with Saturn. Powerful Saturn can bring together a lot of structure, but it's also the planet of death. You got to look at it that way. It is the planet of death. And also Mercury retrograde. So again, Mercury retrograde is considered a bugaboo, but it's also, Mercury is retrograde and it's very close to the Earth. When Mercury is retrograde and combust, anytime it's retrograde, it's close to the Earth, but it's very close to the Earth at that time. So it's a powerful Mercury. Mercury retrograde in this case can be introspective and have us, again, thinking of new ways to do things. Mercury retrograde is a very powerful Mercury because it's moving backwards into our consciousness. So if they're moving the fuel, then I will not feel too good. I hope that they undertake that endeavor once Mercury starts going direct again. But again, we have to cross that bridge when we come to it. I think between now and then and during this eclipse cycle, we need to kind of marshal our collective energy and our collective prayers and our collective mindset and consciousness for the sake of all of us. This is not just about, oh, well, it's over there in Japan. Boy, that would be terrible if that happened. Those poor Japanese. Not really. It'd be tragic for all of us. It might already. We don't even know what's happening now with all those cores. With that corium, 3 meltdowns that are unaccounted for. That we'll have to solve that another day. But now we need to move this fuel. We need to bring the best and the brightest of the world beyond anything else to take care of this. So the astrology definitely shows it. Eclipses around Libra, Aries. Libra is about coming together. It's not just about romance. It's about social equality. We see this in the culture now with, all of the, equal rights, women's rights, gay rights. These are all big themes in the world right now. These are all big political issues. We even see the politics of Iran with a leader now who wants to reach out and be more social. We see there's consciousness around like all of the rapes in India. We're hearing a lot about these injustices that are done to women and how we're not speaking to each other, as countries. So this is shown already in the Rahu-Saturn transit through Libra, and now the eclipses just concentrated even more. So this energy is getting concentrated even more now and showing that we really do need to come together, maybe to save humanity. If we don't do something about this, we can't put it off forever. And I think now is the time where we have to do something about it. We already know the potential of all of this nuclear material, and we have no idea how to handle it. So let's keep our heads together. Let's not flip out and become sensationalize this and turn it into hysteria. It's what it is. But let's pray to whatever we pray to, and also try to be proactive. I'm going to try to do my best to do that as well. So, thank you.